Subscribers, followers, and fans. Today we are going to be talking about a topic: before you say I do, a legal guide to marriage, children, and protection of properties. Now, I need you guys to understand the fact that marriage is not just love, marriage is a legal contract. And the time from whenever you start understanding things like this, you'll be able to appreciate marriage better and make the right decision for yourself. This chapter will help you understand that emotions bring people together, but the law governs their rights, duties, and consequences during and after the marriage. Most couples think that marriage is only about love and companionship. No. But once you marry, the law automatically steps in. Yes. So marriage determines your legal status, financial obligations, rights over children, property ownership, inheritance, and succession. Yes, actually, marriage determines that. Across Nigeria, many people walk into marriage prepared for romance, companionship, and family life, but they are unprepared for the legal realities that come with marriage. Nobody is on this live. I have more audience on TikTok. YouTube is like a battle. Yes, on TikTok. YouTube is like a battle. So before you get married, from the very moment a marriage is contracted, it becomes a recognized legal status under the Nigerian legal system. Love may bring the story, love may bring you two together, you understand, but what shapes the story is the law. Before marriage, two individuals, they stand before the law as separate persons, each independent legal identity. But once a marriage is contracted, something fundamental changes. They are no longer lovers or companions, they become parties to a legal relationship under the Nigerian marriage system. Where a couple marries under the Marriage Act, either customary law or even Islamic law, the union does not really exist only on emotional space. This is what I want you guys to understand. Marriage is not just emotion. Marriage does not just exist on emotional space between two lovers. It becomes a recognized legal relationship. And once the relationship that can be enforced in court, interpreted under legal legislation, and examined in moments of conflict, separation, death, inheritance, or dispute. Many disputes in Nigerian family arise not because the law is inadequate, no, but because they do not understand the legal nature of the marriage that they enters into. Okay, now what does it mean when I say marriage is actually a legal contract? When I say marriage is a legal contract, what do I mean? When we say it's a legal contract, it does not mean the regular one that is the same with a commercial agreement of a business transaction, buying and selling. No. Rather, it means that marriage creates binding relationship, binding obligation that is enforced by law. That is what I mean when I say marriage is a legal contract. Now, upon marriage, the spouses assume duty of mutual support, financial responsibility towards each other and their children, duty of care, companionship, and consulting. When I say consulting, what I just mean is about just sex, like you must consummate the marriage for it to be valid. Responsibility for maintenance of the home and welfare for dependents. Now, these duties do not always, like, they are not written. When you see the duties of a marriage between two people, they are usually not written expressly, like, when you negotiate business, no, but they are recognized and enforced under the Nigerian law. The law also grants spouses certain rights, which include inheritance rights, right to parental responsibility and custody decisions, right to seek maintenance or support in appropriate cases, rights relating to property acquired during the marriage. Yes, the Matrimonial Causes Act gives the right, gives marriage is that right. Now, even when affection fades, disagreement arises, or separation occurs, the legal obligation created by marriage do not automatically disappear. No, the law continues to recognize marriage until it is fully dissolved and terminated. The legal obligation created by marriage do not automatically disappear. No, the law continues to recognize marriage until it is. A spouse may emotionally walk away from a marriage. Yes, it happens. But legally, the marriage still exists until you go to court to declare it otherwise. So marriage is more than you think. Yes, marriage is actually more than you think. Now let's look at the types of marriage. We have marriage in Nigeria is not a single uniform decision. Hi, your name is very funny. Welcome to my live stream. Thank you for saying hi. Hope you're fine. So I'm talking about the types of marriage. Now, marriage in Nigeria is not just a single uniform institution. It exists in different forms, shaped by culture, by custom, legal history, and involves with social realities. Now, each type of marriage carries distinct rights, obligation, consequences, especially in areas such as property ownership. So the type of marriage you conduct has a lot to say or has a lot to do in trying to share property. Understanding the type of marriage one contracts in Nigeria will determine your legal status, your protection, and the vulnerability before law. I was online yesterday and I heard someone saying that she wouldn't have conducted court marriage, that court marriage is a lot of work, that she would have just done customary marriage. Well, that's her opinion, but there are more benefits of conducting statutory marriage than court marriage. So now, let's look at the types of marriage in Nigeria. We have the statutory marriage, we have the customary marriage, and we have the Islamic marriage. Though these three types of marriage, they are all valid, but they are not the same. No, they are valid, but they are not the same. They do not produce the same legal consequences, not at all. Now, statutory marriage is a form of marriage that is celebrated under the Marriage Act and governed by the Matrimonial Causes Act. It is commonly referred as court marriage, registry marriage, white wedding, monogamous marriage, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, legally, statutory marriage is monogamous in nature. What this means is that statutory marriage is one wife to one husband. Yes, meaning that the husband cannot take any other wife during the subsistence of the marriage. Now, doing so amounts to bigamy, what we call bigamy, and bigamy is a criminal offense. Yes, it's a criminal offense in Nigeria. So statutory marriage precludes you from contracting another marriage. A marriage under the Act typically involves notice of marriage registry, publication of bans, registry posting, absence of legal impediments. Now, but then you understand that consent of the parties, they are usually very, very important when celebrating statutory marriage. Yes. So once the certificate is given, then just know that good and fine, your marriage has been what conducted peacefully. That's what it means. Now let's look at the legal effect of statutory marriage. Like I told you guys before, it is monogamous and exclusive in nature. Like you cannot contract any uh, you cannot contract any other marriage. If you do so, it will be void. And again, it is governed under the Matrimonial Causes Act. Yes, all matters relating to divorce, nullity, they are all contracted under the Matrimonial Causes Act. Now we have the right over the properties and inheritance. Statutory marriage allows you to have matrimonial settlement, equitable distribution. Yes, it allows you to do that. So just know that. Then we also have the protection of spousal rights. Now, statutory marriage offers you clearer legal protection, that's for the wives, enforceable maintenance for the wives as well, because husbands are the one that make the money, right? And then, except in few scenarios, then it recognizes custody framework, enforcement of inheritance claims. These are the benefits of what statutory marriage. Now let's talk about the protection of the children too. They are legitimate. They are seen as legitimate children under the law. Now, customary marriage is a marriage conducted. Now we are looking at customary marriage. It's a marriage conducted under the native law and custom of the people. Now, the element of customary marriage is parental consent. We all know that family must be involved, payment of bride price or dowry. Yes, traditional rites or celebrations or ceremonies must be conducted. Cohabitation and acceptance of the wife into the husband's family. Now, once the essential right of a particular community, they are all fulfilled, the woman is handed over. The marriage is generally regarded as what? As valid. Unlike statutory marriage, customary marriage permits a man to take more than one wife, provided that the customary requirements are what? Satisfied. The first wife cannot legally prevent the husband from marrying additional wives, except where specific customary or contractual restriction exists. So what this thing is actually saying is that basically in customary law marriage, you can actually marry more than one wife. I think in some customs you can even marry up to 5. Yeah, that's one of the benefits. Yes. So now the legal effects of customary marriage: the husband's family has a strong communal ties. Yes, it's considered a union of family and not individuals. It affects their rights, the custody of the children. Children usually belong to the husband's lineage. Yes. Dissolution of customary marriage. Customary marriage may be dissolved by return of bride price, family intervention meeting, customary tribunal, or native authority process. Yes, it doesn't have a fast through. Yes, it doesn't really have a fast through for that. Property inheritance depends greatly on the applicable law. Whether the husband dies intestate, whether the wife was fully recognized under the custom. Some custom favors the male family property trustees. However, modern judicial decisions increasing protect surviving spouses, the female children dependent, especially when they show substantial contribution to the property acquisition. So this is what, or this are the legal effects of customary marriage. Customary marriage are legitimate, and the recognition of the paternity of the children may arise, and once the paternity of the children is recognized, you just know that customary marriage is valid and the children becomes a legitimate child under the law. So now let's look at Islamic marriage. Islamic marriage is governed by the Islamic personal laws. Yes, Islamic personal laws, because Islamic marriage is just like just like customary. Islamic marriage is just like customary marriage actually. So it is governed by the Islamic personal laws. Now, it's usually in the northern part of Nigeria. So in our next video, we'll be looking at the Islamic law, conflict and types of law, and then the conclusion for this chapter. Okay, see you guys on my next live.